At the beginning, Universe reflected on the spirit chamber, thinking to himself that it allowed him to speak with the spirits dwelling in all things and to coexist peacefully with them. He clearly remembered how he had used that ability to assist the hero's party, and how, together, they had defeated the Demon King. He remembered his own role in that journey without doubt. Moments later, another voice declared that the kingdom was foolish. Universe reacted in shock, unable to comprehend the sudden hostility or understand why such words were being directed at him. Soon after, a man coldly stated that Universe was nothing more than someone who maintained magic devices and was not considered a comrade. The accusations continued when a girl added that Universe had barely spoken properly during the journey. They mocked him further, saying that he seemed far more comfortable talking to objects, and suggested that his spirit charmer ability made him look down on other people. Universe became flustered and panicked, trying desperately to deny it, but his words tangled as he struggled to speak clearly. He admitted that he was simply bad at talking to people, yet insisted that he had fulfilled his duties properly. In response, another person scoffed and said they could not understand a single word Universe was saying. After a brief pause, they dismissed him entirely, claiming that he had never done anything impressive and questioning how he could possibly believe he stood on the same level as them. Universe weakly attempted to explain about the magic steed and the spirits, but the man cut him off, mocking the magic steed and declaring that he could maintain such junk himself. Suddenly, the man threw something at Universe. Universe desperately shouted for him to stop. Moments later, Universe was struck and cried out in pain. The aggressor sneered and told Universe not to touch him, stating that having someone so lowly lay hands on him made his skin crawl. As Universe weakly tried to say trans, someone nearby asked with concern whether Universe was okay. The aggressor continued to taunt Universe, saying that he would rather snuggle with a piece of junk than with people, calling him disgusting, and threatening to fix both Universe and the object he cared about. Time passed, and Universe quietly reflected on what followed. He narrated that afterward, each of the heroes took on an important position. The hero became engaged to the princess and was set to become the next king. The warrior became the grand general. The image girl became the great sage. The saint became the supreme holy priest. Universe himself became responsible for magic device maintenance and development. Later, after finishing repairs, Universe sighed in relief and reassured the device that it could now operate properly. He then murmured about a spirit wedding involving Tifon, wondering if she was doing well and regretting that he could not attend. Suddenly, someone called out to Universe, startling him. He was informed that Gutsan was calling for him, and Universe nervously responded. The scene shifted sharply as Gutsan bluntly told Universe that he was fired. Universe reacted in disbelief and panic, asking why. Gutsan cruelly answered that Universe was creepy, complaining about him talking to machines while fixing them. Universe tried to explain that magic devices broke because of spirits, but Gutsan mocked the idea, complained about Universe mumbling, and said that no one could understand him. Gutsan added that staff had complained about Universe being unable to greet people properly. Universe cried out in distress and admitted that he was always laughed at. Gutsan then mentioned that Universe had put his name on the machines he made and coldly stated that he had erased those names and replaced them with his own. Gutsan admitted that Universe had skill and that everything Universe created had received high praise, but proudly claimed that he had taken all the credit and had been promoted to minister because of it. He dismissed Universe mockingly and said goodbye. Left alone, Universe sighed and thought about looking for a new job. He then remembered that today was the Wind Spirit Princess's ceremony. The scene changed as Universe realized that it was Typhon's spirit marriage ceremony. Watching from afar, Universe whispered that Typhon looked beautiful and sincerely hoped that she would be happy. As the ceremony proceeded, an announcement was made instructing Typhon, Princess of the Wind Spirits, to kneel before the hero who had saved the world and swear eternal loyalty. Universe explained internally that, for spirits, helping humans was their greatest joy, and that swearing loyalty to a human was considered a great honor. However, Universe questioned the belief that humans were superior to spirits and admitted that he did not believe that idea. He reflected that the ceremony itself felt wrong. Some women in the crowd speculated that Typhon might be nervous or emotional because her partner was the hero. Universe suddenly sensed something and wondered if their eyes had just met. Moments later, Typhon suddenly shouted Universe's name. Universe was stunned and could not believe that she was calling him. As chaos erupted, Typhon demanded to know why Universe was alive when she had been told he was dead. She explained that she had agreed to bond with the hero only because she believed Universe had died, and she declared that she would never have chosen the hero if Universe were alive. She demanded an explanation. Univis began to speak about the wind, but Typhon cut him off, telling him that she would explain everything later. She grabbed Univis and declared that they were running, urging him to hurry. Univis panicked as they fled and shouted in disbelief that he was being kidnapped by the bride. Behind them, the hero roared in rage and ordered the guards to form a security line and capture Univis and the female spirit. Another voice protested the hero's words, forcing him to react. As they escaped, Typhon noticed a carriage and reacted in shock. Univis recognized it as Trans and confirmed it. Typhon asked whether the magic steed was Univis's friend, and Univis proudly explained that Trans was the very first magic horse he had ever made, and that Trans had stayed with him throughout the battle against the Demon King. Univis then noticed someone else's name engraved on Trans and realized that credit had been stolen, even for Trans, reacting angrily. Typhon urged Univis to hop on, and they rode away. While riding, Univis noticed that Trans was not functioning properly and explained that Trans's vocal unit had been severed. He promised to fix Trans and erase the stolen brand. As they continued fleeing, Typhon warned that they were about to be caught. Univis frowned in confusion, stating that Trans should still have been top tier in performance. Suddenly, Univis realized the problem and instructed Typhon to switch places with him. He explained that Typhon was a wind spirit, while Trans was currently running on earth spirit energy, and that wind and earth did not mix well. Typhon understood and leapt accordingly. Excited, Typhon cheered enthusiastically and encouraged Univis to do his thing. Univis responded with confidence. Focusing, Univis addressed Trans and commanded the earth spirits to move exactly as he instructed. The earth spirits recognized Univis as their boss and complained that they were tired of the hero riding them. They rallied together, eager to show Univis what they could do. As Trans accelerated, Typhon screamed in shock at the speed and warned about the road. Watching in awe, Typhon praised Trans and cheered for Univis. Elsewhere, people noticed that something was wrong with the hero and spirit princess's parade and realized that the hero was not the one riding. From afar, someone shouted about how fast they were going. After finally stopping, Univis caught his breath and stated that the adjustments should do it. Onlookers commented humorously about Univis and his loyal servant's love carriage. Back at the ceremony site, people confronted Braveban about his disrespectful words toward spirits. Braveban clicked his tongue and insisted that capturing Univis came first. Others reacted in shock upon realizing that Univis was alive and connected it to Typhon's sudden escape. Braven panicked and lied, claiming that Univis was a term for perverts in the human world, insulting Univis further. The spirits reacted furiously, defending Univis and declaring that Typhon had agreed to the marriage only because of Univis's supposed final words. They announced a full investigation and warned Braveban that they would not forgive him if Univis was indeed alive. Meanwhile, Univis expressed relief that they had managed to escape. The earth spirits greeted Univis warmly, saying that they had been devastated when they believed he had died and were glad that he was alive. Univis sincerely thanked them for saving him. Univis then thanked Typhon as well. Typhon giggled, and Univis asked whether it was truly okay to run away. Typhon firmly insisted that it was, admitting that she had been close to marrying the hero and had been deeply depressed after hearing of Univis's death. Gathering her courage, Typhon confessed that she liked Univis. Univis calmly responded that he liked Typhon too, clarifying that he liked everyone equally. The spirits cheered, while Typhon called Univis a big dummy and declared that she was extremely happy that he was alive. Univis sincerely thanked Typhon and asked what they should do next. Typhon asked whether Univis had something he needed to do. Univis explained that he planned to restore Trans to normal and erase the brand, stating that Trans was in terrible condition. He explained that they needed to go to the Water Spirits Nation, because the brand had been burned in by a powerful fire spirit and required equally strong water power. Typhon eagerly declared that she was going with him. Univis asked whether Typhon needed to return to her country, but Typhon explained that wind spirits traveled everywhere and that news spread quickly, so it was fine. She pressed him until Univis admitted that she would follow him even if he said no. Typhon laughed and said that he understood her well. Finally, Univis declared that the decision was made. Typhon cheered excitedly, and Univis announced that they would head for Concontware. Far away, the hero's enraged voice swore revenge, vowing to make every last one of them lick the dirt off his boots. Typhon then said that they should take care of the others as well. Looking toward them as she spoke, someone nearby hesitated and said, "Will." Univis turned to Typhon and stated that if Typhon was coming with them, she needed to make sure to get along with the other spirits too, explaining that this was the condition. Tifon answered cheerfully that she understood and suggested that they hurry up and go. Universe then added that before that, there was something they needed to do. The scene shifted as Universe looked at Tifon and said that they had to do something about her outfit, continuing that Tifon stood out far too much. Tifon reacted silently, then nodded and said that she would go change. Before Tifon left, Universe hesitated and added and suddenly Tifon called out Universe-kun. Moments later, Tifon reappeared and announced Tada, gesturing to herself and asking how it was. Universe reacted in surprise, noticed Tifon, and said that, come to think of it, Tifon was still wearing that bangle. Tifon answered that she was, explaining that it was because Universe-kun had given it to her. Universe responded that he saw. Tifon started to add that, more importantly, feeling shy, Tifon asked how it looked. Universe answered that it suited Tifon really well. Relieved, Tifon said that she was glad and that it was her first time wearing clothes like that. Tifon continued that, on this journey, she wanted Universe to see lots of different sides of her, then added that she was just kidding. Universe reacted with confusion. The scene shifted as Universe looked around and said, "Whoa," commenting that it was some seriously advanced magic. Universe continued that the hero had planned to help spirit marriage ceremonies all over the land, then added that the hero had also planned a honeymoon with 8 princesses. Suddenly, Typhon grabbed Universe and shouted for him to run, urgently pointing over there. Inside, Tifon asked which one Universe liked, and Universe replied that he would pass. After that, Universe focused on the carriage and said that, setting the inside aside, they needed to fix the exterior somehow, adding that they should cover it with boards. Tifon looked around and asked why there were no wooden boards. Universe answered that there were tons around them. Tifon realized that they could ask the wood spirits to share some, confidently said to leave it to her, and added that wind and wood were good friends. Tifon called out to Mr. Ra. Moments later, Tifon returned and said that it was no good, explaining that the wood spirits had said it hurt and that they did not want to. Universe nodded and said that he would try going himself. Approaching the trees, Universe called out, "Hey." A voice responded, wondering if it could be, and then asked Universe-san. Universe asked if the voice knew who he was. The wood spirit answered that there was not a single tree in that country that did not know Universe, explaining that they were connected through the ley lines. Universe politely apologized for asking so suddenly and asked if they could share some wood, adding that he would make sure it hurt as little as possible. The wood spirits reacted with amazement, saying that it was just like the rumors. They explained that most humans simply cut them down without asking, continued that normal people could not see spirits at all, and added that this was unless they were a high-ranking spirit like Tifon. Excited voices followed, saying that everyone who had been used as material by Universe had said to use them, shouting "Use me too, use me," crying that it was their dream, and praising that it was sturdy, long-lasting, helped people forever, and was the best. Tifon reacted that it was totally different from when she had asked, followed by startled reactions. Universe simply said alright. After some time, Tifon announced that it was finished. Universe then asked Tifon if she knew what that was. Tifon answered that it was something used when a spirit servant messed up, explaining that it was a device to tie them up and put them on display, and adding that the hero had said that with a big smile. Universe reacted that it was the worst, and added that he could only think that the hero was insane. Tifon laughed softly. Universe asked if something was funny. Tifon answered no, then continued that even though most humans treated spirits like objects, Universe was different. Tifon added that, of course, they were all equally precious lives, smiled, and said that she thought she understood why the wood spirits liked Universe so much. Looking at Universe sincerely, Tifon thanked Universe-kun and added that it made her happy that Universe acknowledged spirits. Tifon then suggested that they should go. Universe nodded and agreed. Tifon announced that they were heading to Conconware and said good. As they traveled, Universe explained that at France's peak it would not even take a day, but with France as it was now, it would take over 3 days, finishing by saying, if nothing happened. Silence followed until Tifon called Universe-kun. Tifon looked ahead and said that they were so close to the border, adding that they would have to force their way through. Universe said that he was counting on France, then called out to the earth spirits as well. The spirits responded that they had it. As they pushed forward, Tifon encouraged Universe, saying that they could do it and adding that Transkun was amazing. Universe reacted and then said that was. Suddenly, Tifon panicked, saying that even Transkun might not be able to handle that and asking what they should do. Universe said firmly that Tifon should lend him her power. Typhon reacted in confusion. Universe explained that Typhon should use wind power to lift the carriage. Typhon hesitated and said that she had never done that before, worrying that she might not be able to. Universe pleaded, asking Typhon to please try, and asking if she could at least try. Typhon responded that she would try and said that she would call everyone. Typhon called out to all the wind spirits and asked them to lend her their power. The wind spirits responded in confusion, calling out questions and saying that they were there. Typhon realized that it was not enough power and called again for Ely. Typhon concluded that they just needed to gather wind spirits, causing shocked reactions. Typhon explained that she meant wind spirits who wanted to play with her, and described together gather as one of those spirit-like skills, continuing that it gathered spirits to a raised finger. Typhon then commanded them to gather around that finger. Voices began murmuring various mispronunciations of Universe's name. Typhon panicked, saying that when she had called before, only a few had come. Universe urged Typhon to hurry and have everyone lift the carriage. Typhon replied that she understood, shouted for everyone to lift the carriage, and then gave the command to go. The carriage rose. Typhon said that it was flying. Relieved, Universe said thank goodness and that they could escape now. Suddenly, Typhon screamed. Universe called out to Typhon. Typhon answered hesitantly. Typhon explained that she thought it would be dangerous if Universe fell. Universe replied that he understood and thanked Typhon. Typhon added that there was no path that led through the sky. Ahead of them, everything stretched endlessly open. Their destination lay ahead, Concontware.